Shalom Yasharala. This is another car chronicle. Literally just finished filming the other one's uploading right now as we speak. I want to talk to y'all about motive. And what I mean by motive is what motivates us. What makes us do what we do. You know, you really have everybody that's in this truth out there in the streets teaching, rebuking, is not out there for the right reason. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, the first few years of me being in this truth, I don't think I was really out there for the right reason either. And I'm going to explain. I come from a very anti-white background. Not my parents so much, but, you know, I grew up listening to Wu-Tang where, you know, Edomites were referred to as devils. I would have never had Remedy in my signed to my damn group. But, you know, I was in Pan-Africanism, I was in Nubian, whatever. So prior to being in this truth, I was already very anti-Caucasian, anti-Esau, whatever we call it. So the truth wasn't very difficult to latch onto. And what really made me stronger in the truth was that I actually taught a few brothers and they came into the truth. You know, and we became like a clique. I don't think that I would still be in the truth if it wasn't for that. And I'm being honest, this is my walk, right? As I grew stronger in the faith, I started realizing, yo, this is really my life. This is what I'm about. But at first, you know, for quite a few years, I didn't really know what it was about. You know, I was still cursing out the nations. Now it wasn't even just Esau. Now it's all the nations. It was about hate. I don't know when I realized, but at some point I did realize this is a lifestyle. This is serving the Lord. This is, you know, my nation, my religion. And when I say my religion, I don't mean in a sense of the root word of religion, which means to divide. But yeah, it is actually my religion. It sets me apart. It divides me from who I would have been if I wasn't in this faith. And to be perfectly honest with y'all, like, I'm super happy that I'm an Israelite and know that I am, and I'm glad that this has given my life a purpose, because I'm just thinking about what I would be. I was always looking for God when I was in the world. I was always looking for something to do or to be part of that benefited black and brown people. Because I always knew, back when I was in the world, I knew black and Hispanic people were the same people. So again, this is something that I was already being molded by the world to be in the truth. I feel that things that happened when I wasn't in the faith, like I'll tell you another thing. I never liked pork chops. My parents used to force them shits on me. I didn't know what the fuck they were. It's fucking nasty. It's all fat all over the place and shit. It's just disgusting. They didn't taste right. There was always something about pork that bothered me. I'm not gonna lie and say back in the world I didn't eat bacon a lot. I used to love bacon. But any other form of pork was very, I was very disgusted by. Especially pork chops. I'm not gonna lie, I did eat shrimps. I did eat lobster when I was in the world. But you gotta remember, I came into this truth and I was poor, so it's not like I was able to eat crab legs and pork and lobster and shit. Well, pork was probably cheap, but you know, but yeah, I feel that ever since I was a young man, you know, before actually coming into the practice of the faith that that I was being tailored by the Spirit to come into this truth, to the point where there were things that I was going to learn later that made it kind of just made way for me to come into this faith. Like I said, my hatred of pork, my spirit of wanting to do right. I always wanted to do right. I always loved to help people. So these are all things, these are all attributes that you need to develop when you get in the truth. So the Lord gave me kind of like a head start on a lot of things. Believing in extraterrestrials. Although my Nubian phase definitely helped that. I had always believed that there was some type of extraterrestrial life. So, the purpose, our purpose for coming into this faith is to serve the Lord, fear God, and keep His commandments. And it's a very honest conversation you have to have with yourself. And this is for you young brothers, all of you that's 5 to 10 years up and older in this truth. You should already know by now, but shit, even some of you might have to have that conversation, because I have seen some veterans that really don't understand what the purpose is to be in this faith. Because I don't want nobody to feel that they're wasting their life. I don't feel that I wasted my life in this truth. 23 years that I've been part of this faith. I don't feel that I wasted anything. Sure, there were late camp nights on Saturday on 45th and Broadway. I could have had fun, but I was at camp. Well, that was my fun. That was my fun. That was my time learning. That was my time getting acclimated with this truth. Realizing, even before I actually consciously knew my purpose in life, I was learning my purpose in life. I was on the front lines. Many times I could have gotten stomped out. I could have gotten locked up for stomping somebody else out. I always talk about that bomb scare that they had in Times Square that we went to go teach in the middle of. We didn't give a fuck. I think they literally found a bomb somewhere in Times Square. We taught through all colors of, remember they had that color system for terrorist tension, I guess. A lot of brothers who have not, a lot of camps didn't have the balls to go out there and teach during that Times Square bomb scare. We did, because that was my purpose. And if I would have died, that's my purpose. We have to understand, we really have to understand what while we're in this. If you're on the other side listening to a camp and you're thinking of crossing over, you have to think of all these things. You may die for this. I knew a long time ago, at least, that it's a possibility that I have to give my life for this. And there were so many times that I really was faced with the possibility of losing my life or at least getting fucked up. That's why a lot of times, man, shit, I be pushing for more dangerous camp spots. These stripes have to be earned. There's really legit a lot of brothers who will not be put to some of the tests that I've been put through. And I'm just one man who's been through what I would probably call a lot. But there's men out there that have been through even more. That's why I look at the elders of GMS and what they've done. They did, you want to talk about no cowards? And I'm not being a respected person, but they believed in Cornelius being a Jake when it was unpopular to believe it. They were the only ones saying it. And that directly or indirectly affected a whole lot of other camps once it started being realized, like, oh shit, Cornelius is an Israelite. He's not a heathen. And it's super important to have that type of be that bold when you see something in the scriptures, and not just when you see something, but when you check it against everything, right? Because it wasn't a doctrine. So I'm sorry, I don't get a lot of sleep. It wasn't a doctrine that came out of nowhere. It was a very well thought out doctrine than the Israelite foreigners, which is something that, once again, going back into my early days in the truth when I didn't believe in it, I remember, I'm going to call him a fella. I'm not going to call him a brother. I'm not going to call him a nigga. He left the faith, but nonetheless, he showed me something that basically had me believing in the Israelite foreigners a long time ago. Although his reason for believing it is questionable, because he was friends with a lot of Edomites in high school. But this gentleman by the name of Yaikwa Bediah, who, rest in peace, is no longer with us. He had a cool ass roommate by the name of Mike, and he was like, and I thought Mike was cool as fuck too. But he was like, oh, what if Mike's father's father's father was a black man? And he's really Israel. And I said, I can't disagree with that. I don't know the man's lineage. I know that he is cool as fuck. And although I didn't accept it as doctrine at the time, it already started the wheels turning as far as Israelite foreigners. Because I really can't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt anybody's anything. You know what I mean? It's a rabbit hole that you can never satisfy. What of all these cool ass heathens, or these people that we think are heathens that come by the camp? You know what I'm saying? You have to grasp your purpose in this thing. You have to realize, and you have to know this doctrine from inside. You have to really, you can't be a follower. You have a lot of Israelite camps out here that have nothing but followers in the church or in the congregation. And all they're doing is yes men, yesing to death and Khan, and that's right, but they really don't believe. And it shows. When they leave the church, they start saying all types of wild shit. And you realize, like, they didn't know their purpose. They didn't have a purpose in this truth. They were just here. A lot of people look at the truth, and this is what I hate about the truth. It attracts so many fucking weirdos. Whoever that guy was that killed Joy Morgan, I don't put that necessarily on IUIC. I really put that on that fucking weirdo. You have to know your purpose. You can't come into this truth just to be like, you are a follower when you come into this truth. Don't get it twisted. It's not about that worldly shit. Oh, be a leader, not a follower. No, you have to follow. But you have to know what you're following. You have to know what you're following. You have to understand the belief. Like, you have to actually grasp the concepts. Otherwise, you are just a follower. You are just in a cult. And you are really doing more damage if you come into this thing and don't know what it is. It's like a relationship with a woman, right? You have to get to know things like even her kids. I was in a relationship with a female with kids, and listen, these women with kids, a lot of them are package deals, and I personally don't mind because I'm a package deal. I have a daughter, you know what I mean? And you have to know things about their kids, like do they have any health issues, asthma, things like that, because you're gonna have to make your life, you're gonna have to have certain medicines in your house and shit. You're gonna have to lay a lot of things to heart that you may or may not have known about before. But with that, I just want to say shalom. And these videos are done with sincerity. I want everybody that gets involved with this faith to really know what they're doing and really know what this is about. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, when I came into the truth back in HYK, it was actually called the Church of Israel when I came into the truth. All the elders then, Zaquan Malak, Mathathua, Bakwash, Makapash, who's no longer in the faith that I know of, Samak, all the older brothers. I'm trying not to miss anybody. Even Malachiah, they call him Baby Hebrew. All of them tried to tell me that there was more of a purpose to this than cursing out the white man. And I ignored them all. And honestly, if I would have paid them more attention, if I would have given them the respect as elders, not that I disrespected them, but like really looked at them as elders in life at the time, a lot of mistakes that I made in life I wouldn't have made. Thankfully, I've never left the faith, 23 years strong, but unfortunately, I bumped my head a lot. I've done a lot of things that are not the best practice. And, I hope and pray that you young brothers out there listen, get very acclimated, very engulfed in this faith. If you feel that it's not for you and you're just in it to just have some form of like a gang mentality, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Still keep the law to the best of your ability, because you still shouldn't be, once you know that this is the truth, and maybe you're just not, built for certain things, don't play yourself, but still keep the law, statutes, and commandments. But definitely know your purpose, know what this is about, know what the end result is, and know that you may not make it there alive. You may have to be risen from the dead, and you're going to have to do things in this life that are going to help you be even a candidate to be raised from the dead. But with that, I'm going to say shalom.